CNN spoke to more than a dozen state and county officials involved in elections for this special report, many of them Republicans, and they all expressed concerns about the future of the United States and that Donald Trump's big lie could change this nation forever. Donald Trump's attempt to subvert the election started long before anyone voted.
We're not going to lose this except if they cheat.
Continued on election night.
We want all voting to stop.
Sparked an attempted insurrection.
We fight like hell.
As disgraceful as Trump's public words were, behind the scenes, Trump and his inner circle were using all the powers of the presidential office to cheat, not to stop the steal, but to start it.
It was an attempt to undermine the will of the people. It was profoundly anti-democratic and potentially criminal.
The 45th President of the United States tried to coerce the Department of Justice to lie on his behalf, while also strong-arming state and local election officials to overthrow the election.
There's no question that our democracy is at a breaking point.
In the weeks following the election, Trump and his inner circle would wage a high-pressure campaign.
Hello, Francis. How are you?
Hello, Brad and Ryan and everybody.
Bill, it's Rudy Giuliani.
At least 30 contacts between Trump and Republican officials in crucial states: Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Arizona.
This is the White House operator.
I was out to dinner with friends, and a phone call came in from Washington, D.C., of a number I did not recognize.
Clint Hickman, a Trump supporter, who was then the chair of the Maricopa County, Arizona Board of Supervisors, couldn't believe it.
I was calling to let you know that the president's available to take your call if you're free.
Hickman let the call go to voicemail. Days later, the White House operator called back. Hickman again refused to pick it up.
Obviously, I thought it was going to be something to do about election and operations, and I was not prepared to talk about that. The governor of Arizona had already certified it. The attorney general of Arizona and the secretary of state had certified it.
Records now reveal dozens of text messages and multiple phone calls from the White House, from Rudy Giuliani, and also the head of Arizona's Republican Party.
I just talked to President Trump, and he would like me to talk to you.
Trying to put pressure on the Maricopa County Republican supervisors to intervene in a free and fair election that Joe Biden won. Supervisor Bill Gates believes it was an attack on the Constitution.
I saw that a voicemail had popped up. It was just unbelievable to hear, instantly I knew who it was. I knew that voice, Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor.
Bill, it's Rudy Giuliani, President Trump's lawyer. I have a few things I'd like to talk over with you. Maybe we can get this thing fixed up.
The Maricopa County Board of Supervisors had just received this subpoena demanding election officials hand over millions of ballots to state Republican politicians who were launching fraud investigations.
He wanted us to turn over the ballots as soon as possible so that the state Senate could get to work.
Get to work doing.
One of the objectives was to get their hands on the ballot before the January 6th hearing in the Capitol. They wanted evidence to support decertifying the election.
It's Constitution be damned, really.
Right. One of the main reasons I became a Republican in the 1980s was I thought the Republican Party was the party of the rule of law, the party of the Constitution.
In Michigan, a Wayne County Republican election official voted to certify the election, then changed her mind after a call from Donald Trump.
I have provided them with a copy of my affidavit rescinding my vote.
In Georgia, Trump not only called the state's top elections investigator,
But whatever you can do, Francis.
but in what now is being investigated as a possible crime, Trump tried to convince Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, to change the vote count.
And there's nothing wrong with saying that, that you've recalculated.
It seems clearer and clearer that Trump was actually trying to steal the election. He was actually trying to create conditions where he would be declared the winner, even though he actually lost the election. It is incredibly dangerous and destabilizing.
And perhaps most dangerous of all, President Trump even tried to use the United States Department of Justice to pull off his attempted coup. In the notes of a December 27th phone call now handed over to congressional investigators, Trump told his acting Attorney General, Jeffrey Rosen, and his deputy, Richard Donahue, Just say that the election was corrupt. Leave the rest to me and the R congressman. Both men refused Trump's request, and both have testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee chaired by Senator Dick Durbin.
What was the most shocking to you?
Just how directly, personally involved the president was, the pressure he was putting on Jeffrey Rosen. It was real, very real, and it was very specific.
Trump tried to pressure Rosen to file a lawsuit in the Supreme Court to declare that the Electoral College votes cast cannot be counted. His chief of staff was repeatedly emailing top DOJ officials at least 5 times, asking they investigate conspiracy theories about voter fraud.
It's an attempt to use the Department of Justice in order to influence the election that's run at the state and local level. So it's dangerous, it's inappropriate, and it should be unacceptable.
And Trump had been secretly working with someone inside the Department of Justice, an official from the Environmental Division named Jeffrey Clark, who was pushing allegations of voter fraud despite all the evidence against it. Clark urged his bosses to sign a letter to Georgia's governor containing a lie. It falsely claimed the Justice Department identified significant concerns that may have impacted the outcome of the election and advised the governor to convene in special session. Acting Attorney General Rosen and the Deputy AG Donahue said no.
The country came very close to a coup.
It was the violence of the insurrection on January 6th that finally ended Trump's plans to prevent the certification of Joe Biden as president. Yet, with no proof, with no facts, with no evidence at all that fraud played any role in his defeat, Trump has convinced his base of support that the electoral system of the United States is corrupt. Former Republican New Jersey Governor Christine Todd Whitman, who started a group to safeguard U.S. democracy, says this is a threat to the country.
Abraham Lincoln said if this government falls, it will fall from within. And we have to remember those things because it could happen.
One thing that Bill Gates, that Maricopa County supervisor, told me is that if it weren't for Republicans who were willing to risk their own careers for standing up for what's right, there might have been a very different outcome. And some of those elections officials, Pamela, are dealing with threats to their very lives.